first of all, thank you to EDRI and all of the organizers for having me here. This is really quite an honor, so thank you so much. I'm here on behalf of Syrian Archive. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of Syrian Archive before, but for those who haven't, we were founded 2014, so now about 6 years ago, and coming mostly from the privacy and digital security scenes. So the couple of founders were working on doing privacy digital security trainings, organizational security trainings, and things like this. So we're really connected to this community quite a lot, and it's exciting to be here and to be part of this. Maybe before I go into what I'm doing and how we work with technology, it makes sense to first talk about how conflicts have always been understood through emerging technology, right? So since the invention of photography, the first use case being the American Civil War, emerging tech has been a way of witnessing or documenting conflicts, right? And we saw that this has grown with the war in Vietnam. We're seeing that film is the first conflict that's being documented, or Vietnam is the first conflict that's being filmed on a wide scale. So with the Vietnam War, journalists for the first time were offered unrestricted access, right? They could go places that previously they weren't able to go. Historically, conflicts have been understood through journalists from established media groups or through governments themselves, right? But Vietnam offered the first chance to see that these other stories of understanding the real cost of war on civilian populations is happening, right? So with this, we're seeing many incidents that are being filmed, that are being distributed all around the world. And with these powerful images that are coming out, we're seeing that there's a lack of support by the general population in terms of the war in Vietnam. So there was a famous photograph called The Terror of War, which is also called Napalm Girl. I'm not sure if people have seen this image before. But this image came out, it was the first image that won a Pulitzer Prize, so a very prominent journalism prize. The year it was published, right? So in previous time, you know, these journalists were always winning these awards, at least like the next year or so, but this was the first time that this happened. And after this image was published, the next year, all Western countries stopped supporting the war in Vietnam, right? So they all backed out, right? And so we can see that there's an enormous potential of images and of videos, right? Shortly after, all journalists, at least in the case of US and many other European countries, had to be embedded within military troops, right? They couldn't go off and they couldn't do things on their own, right? And so you're seeing that conflicts, again, are being understood through this like very, through dominant power structures, right? In 2011, starting with the Tunisian revolution, as many of you know, we're seeing that this has changed. Right? So whereas conflicts in the past have been understood largely through journalists or through governments, right? We're seeing the rise of citizen journalism, right? With emerging technology, again, the lower cost of data, the widespread use of smartphones, the use of social media platforms, right? And we're seeing massive amounts of documentation that are happening, allowing for counter-narratives to be constructed, right? So getting back to my work, in terms of Syria, we're seeing that Syria is the first major use case, we can call it, if we're coming from a tech perspective, where a conflict can be witnessed more or less by anyone in the world practically in real time, right? Now there's more hours of user-generated content, and what I mean by this is things that regular people are producing, right? Uploading largely to social media platforms, right? So there's more hours of user-generated content about the conflict in Syria than there have been in the Syrian war itself, right? So more than 9 years of documentation. But there's a lot of challenges towards using this, and these are some of the things that my organization is trying to address. The first is that a lot of the content is being removed. So when we started about 6 years ago, coming from privacy digital security scene, we were doing trainings with journalists, with lawyers, with activists, right? Who, at that time, the borders were still open between Syria and neighboring countries. And the people we were training were saying that even then, a lot of the content was being removed from social media platforms, right? So we started really as an emergency response to try to preserve this content and to store it somewhere else that's like offline, right? Get it off of these social media platforms. And the second major challenge is that, okay, even if you verify this content, or even if you archive this content, right, you need to verify it because there's like a massive amount of content. And there's a lot of propaganda, there's a lot of misinformation, right? So you need to have some way of kind of telling what's true and what's not, right? And the third major challenge is that it's unsearchable. So even if you have it, and even if you verified it, you need to find some way of going through this content, right? And finding the things that you actually want to find. And so that's what we're trying to address. So since we started, we've archived about 3.5 million pieces of content, so about 1.7 million videos from YouTube and also from Facebook and Twitter and some other places. We verified a small number of this, so I would say maybe about 6,000 or so videos, so it's really like a small percentage of the total amount of content. But we're working on using tech as a way of kind of triaging or finding pieces of content that are more relevant. So with this, we're partnering with a project called VFrame, started with by a person named Adam Harvey, to use AI and machine learning to detect and remove particular types of munitions, right? So here we're looking at cluster munitions, for example. And we have a report that's going to be coming out in March or so, looking at this type of content. We also process this data, right? So even before we verify it, we've come up with a data ontology to be able to, like a metadata schema, basically, so that you can make this content searchable. And then we use this type of content for open source investigations. So these are things like attacks on particular types of civilian infrastructure, or things like that, as well as creating new types of data sets. So we did a report on or database in chemical weapons attacks, right? And we're working right now on putting together and finalizing a database in attacks in hospitals and medical facilities. So in terms of other ways that we're dealing with tech, as I said, a lot of this content is being removed. We're seeing that platforms also are using machine learning and AI as a way of detecting and remove content that they deem as extremist. So starting in 2017, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter have started to use these tools to remove content. I think last year in Google's transparency report, they said YouTube removed about 8 million or so videos. The majority of which, 6 million or so, were done through automated flagging, right? They called it. So this is content that's being removed before people, the general public, has seen it, right? So YouTube always says that there's a human review afterwards, before something is removed. But we're seeing that a lot of this content is taken down before the general public sees it. Because we archive content, right, we have this unique identifier, and we can see which types of content are being removed, right, and why, right, because we have connections with a lot of the media houses and journalists who are in country. So this means that we're able to go back to platforms, right, like YouTube, like Facebook, and say, you know, certain types of content have been inadvertently removed, right, and trying to understand the real impact of these content moderation policies. We're also part of the Christchurch Call Advisory Network, which is now advising government of New Zealand and France in terms of the impacts of this content moderation policies. So I'm going to stop here because I know that I'm short on time, but I'm really looking forward to questions. Thanks so much.
Thanks very much, Jeff. So I would like to remind you that after the talks, at the end of this session, there will be around 10 minutes Q&A session. So we will receive questions from the audience. So please note down your questions. And I would like to invite now Sergey Boyko to the stage.
Good morning, colleagues. I'm Sergey Boyko. I'm from Russian Internet Protection Society. It's an NGO. We are aiming at protecting Russian internet from excessive government regulations and censorship. And I have my own personal story about technology and activism. It's personal, still yet practical, and about surveillance. A year ago, I'm preparing a street protest against our Russian pension reforms. So we are in France, I think it's appropriate too. And our local government decided to stop that activity to prevent us from organizing this event. So a week before the event, they decided to take me to police, and so I could not publish the films and calling the people to action and so on. And a week before the event, the police came to me. I am living in condominium, so they came to the building entrance and waiting for me. Then I out from the entrance. They're asking, Sergey, hello, could you please wait a minute? I say no, and simply run. It was a big surprise for me that waiting near 100 of kilograms, I am running faster, still running faster than common Russian policeman. So I'm hiding in nearest building and start to think what to do next. That's why my personal underground experience started. It's easy to hide from the Russian police if you are not going to do anything, because you could go to your closest friend, eat, sleep, and do nothing on the internet. It's easier. But I don't want to do nothing. I want to prepare the event. So I need to live underground, still active social life. The problems I've met was first, it's communication. Because every time I switched on my smartphone, I have only 10, maybe 15 minutes to drastically change my location, because in Russia, secret services, they have the opportunity to get in real time your location from mobile operators. And of course, authorities in no time added a secret service in Russia, FSB, to police to search for me. And FSB in Russia has much authority other than internet and personal information and data. And what's the problem for me? Against that was the fact that, according to public opinion, they could not get a court sentence against me, so they could not start a full federal search. They only to dedicate to small task force to searching for me and finding and getting to jail. It was easy. And second was my knowledge on how the thing working in Russian internet and what's the limits of possibility for FSB. So first task was communication. And as I could not use my smartphone completely, and public Wi-Fi is not a possibility too, because in Russia, then all the time when you are going to use public Wi-Fi, you need to provide your phone number and get the SMS with code and provide that code. So it's easy to find you anyway. So I asked for my friend, not the close friend, because they are starting surveillance on all my close friends and family and my office and so on, and street surveillance and digital surveillance too. So I asked my not close friend to buy me a new cheap smartphone and get in a SIM card, and asked for him to meet in a place, then switched off my phone, meeting, take that smartphone, so I could get communication. Because still, why I'm not using my personal accounts on social networks and so on from that smartphone, it was, they could not get my allocation from that, because I couldn't know even IP or my mobile phone number. Second one, I need to live somewhere. It was in Russia in autumn. Autumn is not a good time to live on the street, so you need some more practical place. And I couldn't go to my friends because it couldn't danger them. Because if they found me, they found my friend, it could be a problem for him to hiding me. So I need to find something else. Hotels is not a variant too, because all the Russian hotels, they are getting your passport and informing the FSB about who's staying there, here, and why. So I couldn't search on train stations and so on, because I could not go to street because they're searching for me. So it was a simple answer. It's about technology too. I could get a flat from Airbnb and it's still working. It was good. Third one, I need to use social networks, because we are preparing an event. I need to call people to action. I need to write something in Facebook, and which was most important in Vkontakte. It's similar as Facebook social network in Russia. And problem was that all the Russian internet companies, they reporting to FSB in real time. So without even court decision, FSB could get all your information from your account in real time. So if I'm even from my secret smartphone, if I am accessing my account directly, so they could find me in a moment. No, I'm not even using our organizational VPN because we have a direct server, and if I accessing my account from even that server, they could take the IP, go there and search who from our city goes there, have surveillance on all internet traffic in real time, so they easily could find who can access the server and still find me. So I was into a public and popular VPN, so they couldn't find me for using that. And it was a success. Still, I made one mistake. On third or maybe fourth day, I could not see that VPN connection is broken and still went to my account of Kontakte. And then I saw it. I decided to change the flat. It costs me 2 hours because I need to write some thread to, then I need to change the, so he could get to me to take to other flat. I need to get new one on Airbnb and so on because I could not use the public taxi services. Still they're reporting too. It cost me 2 hours, and was very interested in theory, how it's working. Do they searching the social networks for me or not? So I asked my other friend to stay in the building and watch. And yes, after half an hour, 2 hours for me to leave, and after half an hour, police car here. So they are monitoring constantly and searching. And first task, it was easy to film in a video. I need a light and a camera, and I couldn't get it from my office because it was on constant surveillance. So I'm using Telegram to searching for friends. It could not be public search, but I still could find camera and light and film in a video, and we got the very good event, crowded and successful. So our government wasn't need to attach some conditions of pension reform, so they shifted the conditions. Still, I've got arrested and jailed, but on the event. It was, I spent a month in jail for organizing such an event, but my purpose of hiding to organizing and to get to the event myself, it was real. So all that statement, all that government regulation and that government burden on our budget and our company and users to regulate the internet, to surveillance the internet, it's completely ineffective. For a week, I could use it actively. I could hide, and they could not find. So that's why it's simply not working. And you have only two things: understanding of technologies and their limitations, and broad network of the friends. It's hard to achieve in Russia because we have the biggest police army in the world, but still achievable. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks very much, Sergey. So next we have Finn Sanders and Jan Niklas Niebisch from Fridays for Future Germany.
So hello, I'm Finn from Fridays for Future Nuremberg.
I'm Jan Niklas Niebisch from Fridays for Future Wülfrath. It's near Düsseldorf, and we're a very small local group with 20,000 people in our city. Yes.
Okay, and we'd like to talk about our use of social media and technology to communicate with each other and just organize the movement. And you maybe know Fridays for Future from the media, but what's maybe more important to us is social media to just get that many people on our strikes. And maybe who needs further explanation what we do? Is there anyone? Okay, so Fridays for Future is trying to leave the focus on the scientific results on the climate crisis. So we are striking and telling the government to do a better politic, to deal with the climate crisis, and that's what we are striking for, and we are striking during our school time. So every Friday we just leave the school to go to strike and to put the pressure on the government to do a better climate politics. And to organize our strikes, it's very important to us to use social media tools, and like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And yes, it's much easier to get many people on the streets using social media. And I personally made the experience that we try to yes, mobilize people offline, for example, using flyers or transparents or something like that. And we just got almost no one on the street. So no one wanted our flyers. No one just read what we wrote on the transparents. And because we couldn't get the right people, we couldn't draw the attention of the right people on our goals. And yes, so we are using social media, like for example Instagram. Instagram is our most important social media tool to get people on the streets, because many young people are using Instagram, and people who are interested just see what we want them to see. So, for example, we have social media groups in almost every local group, and they are almost not more than 3 to 4 people. For example, in Nuremberg, we have about 4 people who do social media regularly, and who are doing posts for our social media and writing texts. And with these 4 people, we managed to get 10,000 people on the streets on the 20th of September. And so it's a very effective way to get people on the streets. And that's why social media is so important to us, because we need very few work, very less, not that much people, to spread our message. And that's why we use social media that much, and that's why social media is so important to us. But we also have to communicate with each other, because Fridays for Future Germany is, yes, we are organized all over the country. And that's something Jan-Niklas will tell you more about.
Yes, at every local group we have WhatsApp chats with each other, and the problem is WhatsApp is not so secure as any messenger, but if we want to engage as most people as we get, we have to use the common messenger, and this is WhatsApp. On the federal level, we use other tools like our own pads. You can write their informations down and paste links to other tools from us, and we have their for schedule our meetings once a week. We are telecommunicate with each other on the federal level to plan the next big strike. It's we have some strikes that are national, or strikes that are worldwide, and that have to be communicated very well. And to do this, we have to call each other, and we use tools like Zoom. Does anybody know what Zoom is? Yes, very good. And and then we are calling about 3 hours, and discussing very much things, and it's very time wasting. But we have to make this to communicate with other.
Okay, what I forgot to say in the beginning, if you have any questions, if anything is unclear, just feel free to raise your hand, and we'll try to explain. Okay, and what is also important to us is to just get information, or further information, except from social media like Instagram or Twitter, which is very passive. to the people, so we need a tool to discuss with the people. So if anyone has questions, he needs to ask us. If anyone who wants to go to...
Actually, we will have a Q&A session just after you finish your talk.
Okay.
Would you like to add something more before we move to the Q&A session?
Yes, I am going on.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Okay, so it's very important to us to have something to communicate directly with the people who are willing to strike with us. And so we have our WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups and Discord groups, so that everyone can communicate with us, and everyone has the possibility to influence, for example, our goals. So one of our main problems is that our chats are public, but we need to have our chats public because everyone needs to have access. But as you maybe can mention, there are many people who are not happy with Fridays for Future and who are very contra. And so they try to enter our chats and start spamming, start writing illegal stuff. And so we have a group of about 30 people in Germany who is controlling the groups. We are called Chat Netiquette, and we are both from the Chat Netiquette in Germany. And we are making rules for the chats, but we are also administrating our chats so that we just can ban the people who are violating our rules. And we have actually many problems with people who are from the very right wing, for example, and who are using, for example, illegal symbols. And that's also one of the reasons why we are working together with the police, because some people are writing very seriously illegal stuff. And one of our problems is that we have many very young children in these groups, like some of them are not 10, or not even 10. And so we need to just take care. But with tools like WhatsApp, you may imagine it's not that easy, because you can't just filter content before it gets online. And yes, so we have to work with the police together to just get these people out of our groups. But the police has problems, or is not willing to help us, because they think our issues are too small to be interesting for the police, or to be judged. And yes, that's one of our major problems we are working on. And it's very time intensive to just to just figure these problems. Okay, I think we are
You're
already done.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So now I would like to invite Jeff and Sergey back to the stage, so we can have the approximately 10 minutes Q&A session with the audience. So you can ask questions for all of them. Joe, maybe I can.
Thank you. Great selection of speakers. Well done. I'm really interested in the Syrian archive, particularly around transparency from the social media companies. So looking at the Google, for example, transparency report, can a normal human being get any insight into your problems looking at the transparency report? First question, general question. Specifically, how many of your videos have been removed by YouTube? And thirdly, has YouTube ever said that anything you've uploaded is illegal?
Okay. So 3 questions. The first was, can a normal human being make sense of a transparency report? Okay. I think the transparency report is good because it shows you the scale at which these kinds of issues are happening, but it won't tell you the types of content that's being removed, right? Facebook, I think, in terms of their content moderation, they talk about content being removed specifically in terms of terrorism, right? So this is like a definition that they're using, right? But these definitions are, of course, not universal, right? They're US-based companies. They're often relying on US-based definitions and using US terrorist groups, right? So groups that are on US terrorism lists. So yeah, I don't know that you can get a whole lot out of it except for understanding the scale and the ways in which these companies are viewing this. The second question was number of videos removed from our collection. You mean? Yeah, I would say it comes and goes, right? Many of the videos that we've seen removed, we've spoken to platforms, for example, and had them reinstated. But a lot of these videos are removed again, right? So there's been maybe 400,000 videos that we have that have been removed. I would say we've worked on reinstating about 300,000 or so. Most of these have been removed again, right? So sometimes from the same sources, the same videos are being removed multiple times. And because we're in contact with many of the media houses, right, they're also sending us the reasons why this content is being taken down. So we have like a history of some of these reasons. And the third question, I don't.
On the basis
Uh-huh.
of getting hundreds, hundreds of thousands of videos removed.
Yeah.
On the basis partially of terrorism, have they ever been reported to the police, bearing in mind they're supposed to be terrorists?
I mean, I don't know the relationship between police and these companies. I do know that, I mean, we're working in multiple jurisdictions, right? So it's not only US, it's not only Germany, it's not only, you know, Syria, right? We're also, I mean, we're doing documentation also in Yemen and Sudan and some other places. But in places like Myanmar, right, where you're having content that's taken down for very different reasons. I mean, Germany, we are seeing that some of this content has been used in the investigation of people returning fighters, right? So people who had gone to Syria had documentation of them doing some types of violations, whether this is terrorism or not, and then tried back in Germany. Also in Sweden, there's been a couple of cases. I think it depends on if you're talking about local policing or if you're talking about things like international war crimes investigations. But I'm yeah. Do we have content that allegedly is terrorist related? Is you're asking? Yeah, no, of course. I mean, if you're looking at a lot of the footage is not just people filming crime-based, right? So the aftermath of, let's say, an attack or an incident, right? But some of it is also like perpetrator-based, right? So you'll see that content is being filmed and uploaded by opposition groups or other you know, quote-unquote terrorist organizations, right? I mean, this content can also be useful because you can find things in it that you can at some point potentially use for different types of investigations, right? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. So next, Ivan, would you like to come here to ask your question so everybody can hear?
Thank you. I'm Ivan Seke from the Central European University and the Open Society Archive. I have a question to Sergey, and I have a serious warning to the activist society. Let me start with the second one. The example of the Syrian archive is an exceptional example, an exceptionally good example, but unfortunately, the rest, more or less the rest of the activist society don't care for properly archiving their activities. So my warning or advice is please don't trust the cloud, don't trust the social media platforms. They are very convenient for distributing the information, but it's not good for archiving. I know that most of you are interested in the present, in today, and maybe in tomorrow, and you are not interested in yesterday. But it's very important to prove that your existence is there, and for many reasons. So the suggestion is please contact, if I may say, the Syrian archives, or even my archive, which is also a very significant human rights archive, and take some care of archiving your work. That's now the question to Sergey. Don't you think that if you talk openly about your techniques, how to circumvent the investigation by the FSB, don't you think that, and it will be also filmed and uploaded to the internet, then you help the FSB to close the gaps in their techniques to find activists like you?
Most of the time is question, then you are speaking about it, much people using the technologies. And in our work in Russia, I think that society is adapting quicker than FSB, so it's better to speak than not to.
Okay, thank you. So that's an optimistic note. I give it back to you.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Further questions? Claire? So, Diego, maybe you can.
Thank you. Another question for Jeff. I was wondering who uses your data, and how do you make sure that it's admissible for criteria when it comes to evidence admissibility, especially in war crime, and whether it's actually used and receivable in
Sure.
this context?
Yeah. So the question is, what kinds of things do we do to make it more likely to be used as evidence, right? And also who's using it. So first, who's using it? There's a lot of journalists who are using it. Lots of human rights groups like Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, especially their Digital Verification Corps, which is an amazing, amazing program. We are also using some of this content for some cases in a couple of different places. Actually, we did one investigation that was a different type of open source investigation using data, right? So not videos, not photos, right, but data. Last year, this investigation was looking at Belgian companies that had shipped chemicals to Syria, right, in violation of EU sanctions, right? So this is also open source content. This story actually resulted in the conviction of 3 companies in Belgium, and similar cases being initiated in other places, right? What kinds of things are we doing to preserve or to ensure that the content is potentially legally admissible? We're hashing, we're timestamping all of the content, and we're having this stored with an independent, like, third party, so based remotely, right? So that at least there's a copy of these hashes that shows that the content isn't tampered with after we've gotten it, right? So you can always cross-reference these things against each other. And we also, through creating a criteria or a metadata schema, have come up with categories, working with archival groups, right, working with lawyers, to try to make it useful. So things like using United Nations OHCHR definitions, right, or criteria, but also things like trying to come up with things like intent, right? So ways of trying to judge intent from a variety of data collections. Right? Does that kind of answer the question a little bit? Or? Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll have the last few questions, and we need to move to the next session. I think you would like to.
Hi. Not much of a question, but wanted to advertise what my organization can do for activists. We're called Frontline Defenders, and we're an organization that provides activists with training on digital and communication security, personal security, organizational security, and grants if you're attacked because of your work and you're at risk. So lawyers' fees, medical fees, temporary relocation. So I just wanted to use this opportunity, being in this space, to say that if any of you are human rights activists, even if the wider sense, climate activists, really in the widest possible definition of human rights, and we can help you, please do contact us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, please. Andres, can you come here, perhaps? Okay. And okay, well, first we take the question of Andres and then the next question.
Hi, just a quick question to Sergey, that it was like on my head. Is during this time that you were like in the hiring and all of that, how did you manage to get things paid? For example, the Airbnb and all of that. Did you rely on traditional financial services to pay for them, or did you use technology like cryptocurrencies such as Monero, Zcash, and all of that? Or how did you do it? Because I mean, I believe that the FSB, as well as monitoring the social network and all of that, they are monitoring the traditional financial system.
Sergey, before you reply, I would like to take the last question as well.
Hello, sorry, I don't have a question. I have also a commentary, especially for Fridays for Future. Thanks very much for all your great activism. I'm very behind what you do. I'm a little bit concerned that you rely so much on these public tools.
Is the microphone on? Okay.
Sorry, is it too quiet?
We'll just speak up a bit. Yes.
I'm a little bit concerned that you're relying so heavily on these public tools for such a large amount of people. I wonder if you've seen the talk at the Chaos Computer Congress in Leipzig. There was a talk by the sysadmin of the Extinction Rebellion. It's a video available at media.ccc.de. I recommend any activist to watch it, because he's found solutions to a lot of the networking problems that you might have to reach all the individuals.
Thank you very much. And then the very last question or comment. Yes.
Okay. Hi, thanks. Fridays for Future, brilliant. Thanks for all your work on behalf of all of us and all my kids as well. Question on the platform's use. Have you had any problems with the age of users, given that WhatsApp is meant to be for 16 and up? And have you actually had the platforms themselves pose you any problems, and have you thought about how you address that?
Thank you very much. Okay, so we first start with Sergey, and then we move to Fridays for Future.
Okay, about finances, it's a very good question, because there could at no time close your bank accounts and credit cards. So in my case, they're not doing it this for first 2 days, so I could simply go to ATM and withdraw the cash and using the cash rig. But for if you need longer time, it's a problem, yeah. And now then, for example, 2 months ago, they're closing the accounts of our organization. It was a problem there to get the money, because they took all the cash from my flat doing the search there, and all the blocking accounts. So it's a problem still. And we have in Russia, it's a pity, but we have no infrastructure for Monero and so on. So you could not, you could transfer, but then you need to buy something. Could not use it. And one more, please, one more comment for Ivan. It's about speaking or not. Is it good or not? I have a very good example. For example, many of you, I'm sure, know about two-factor authentication. And in Russia, using, for example, second factor as your SMS with code, it's completely it's not good, because all the time the secret services, they could call your mobile operator and ask for it. They done it for me in those weeks, and ask for sending SMS not to your phone but to their phones. And they're simply going to platform and stating, I forgot my password, give me an SMS, and taking the code and use it. And you are even don't know about that. So most of the time I need to use a Google Authenticator or so tools. And if we are not speaking about it, the people don't know about the problem and using the wrong methods. If you are speaking, it's better for that.
Thank you very much. Yes, Finn and Jan Niklas, can you, yes.
Okay, first of all, thank you for your comment. I think we can maybe just talk to each other later on. And to your question, we had luckily never a problem that users in our groups were banned due to age by the platforms, but we are very concerned, for example, if people just send pornography, etc., in these groups, that young children can see it, and that's a big problem to us, and we are concerned about it. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, yes. Would you like to say something as well about? Okay. Well, it's probably there are further questions. But we need to move to the next session. So I suggest that the conversation can go on further in the networking space. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us and for telling us your stories. And now here, the next session here is, I think, defending the digital space. Yes, okay, great. Thank you very much. The next, there will be another session in Room Bob, yeah, which is at the end of the hall here. Thank you.